Important milestone for mental health education and awareness takes center ice as the training program expands to cover more hockey players, including the Rockford IceHogs. WIFR news reporter Anthony Ferretti talks with the IceHogs on their outlook for this expansion and its impact on athletes since its establishment a year ago.
More than 85 NHL players have completed the first-line mental health training program since it started in January 2024. And now, thanks to this expansion, some local hockey players could have a chance to participate.
We look at these professional athletes and put them on pedestals, but there's also a lot of real-life things that can happen throughout a season.
There is no prejudice when it comes to mental health, which is why hockey players associations partner with a Canadian nonprofit providing mental health training and tools to athletes.
Especially with guys that are just turning 19, just turning 20, that are still figuring things out and maturing. To give them as many opportunities to get the care that they need, I think is only great.
During a 72-game regular season for the Rockford IceHogs, the travel, long hours, injuries, and time away from family can take a toll on players' well-being. Now they can participate in this program thanks to its expansion Tuesday.
Even before this, we have a mental skills coach. We have resources that are already put in place and have been for a while.
A former pro hockey player and mental health advocate offers a training program called First Line to those interested. Opening Mind's client development co-manager Charles Boyer says by taking a proactive approach to mental health, the Professional Hockey Players Association is not only supporting its players, but also sending a powerful message that stigma has no place in sports or anywhere else.
The one consistent is the trend of providing more resources. And even if they're not used, they're there, and that's what matters at the end of the day.
There is a 5-hour course for players and a 7-hour one for coaches. Both include a handful of modules, including self-care and the mental health continuum.
Thank you, Anthony. We did reach out to the IceHogs mental health skills coach for a comment, but did not receive one as of tonight.